Forasmuch as this Honourable Court is called by and under the ancient custom of Scotland and is required by the Acts of Parliament of 1587 and 1672, I, in the name of our Sovereign Lady Queen Elizabeth, and in name and on behalf of the Right Honourable the Lord Lyon, King of Arms, here present, do fence and fix this court, to sit, hold and continue at his Lordship's pleasure, and I command all and sundry to reverence, acknowledge and obey the same, and I defend and forbid all manner of persons to trouble this court or take speech upon hand without leave asked and given, as they will answer at their highest peril. God save the Queen and this Honourable Court.
Please be seated. Well, let me welcome you to this sitting of the Court of the Lord Lyon, which is a very infrequent occasion other than to hear contested cases. But today we're meeting on the day of which the new season of the legal year starts in Scotland to do a number of tasks, but primarily to swear in to the new officers at arms in terms of their new offices, and 3 new officers at arms. You're all most welcome, and I hope that in fact the conversation that you have afterwards might explain to you what it is that we're doing. The opening of the court by the Lyon Clerk traditionally is called the fencing of the court, and that's because we kept you all at a bit of a distance. But we all need to keep at a bit of a distance now because of COVID, and that was done in due and ancient form, and it was done in the name of Her Majesty the Queen. So as I wind up, I would now ask the Lyon Clerk what business there is before the court this day.
My Lord, there are persons here present who are to be admitted or to be promoted within the ranks of Her Majesty's Office of Arms in Scotland.
Marchman, present these persons at the bar.
My Lord, I present Islay, Herald in Ordinary.
My Lord, I have here the commission for this person at present. Is it your will that this be read with all due respect and loyalty? Ireland. We, Joseph John Morrow, Commander of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, one of Her Majesty's Council learned in the law, Doctor of Laws, Lord Lyon, King of Arms, considering that the office of a Herald of Arms is vacant and in our hands and at our gift, and being sufficiently informed of the literature, qualifications and good conversation of our Lovite, Yvonne Holton, and of her ability to discharge the office and duty of a Herald of Arms, therefore that we have admitted and received, likewise we hereby admit and receive, the said Yvonne Holton to the office of a Herald of Arms, and we will and ordain that she shall be named and styled and entitled Islay Herald in Ordinary of Arms. And we do hereby give and dispone to her the said office, for as long as she shall be able to discharge the same, with all and sundry honours, dignities, profits and duties pertaining thereto, subject to the condition the said office shall become vacant, ipso facto upon the said Yvonne Holton attaining the age of 70 years, which admission the said Yvonne Holton hath accepted and hereby accepts, promising faithfully to discharge the duties of the said office in person, with full power to the said Yvonne Holton to brook, exerce and enjoy the said office of Islay Herald of Arms, sick-like and as freely in all respects as any other her predecessors, Islay Heralds in Ordinary of Arms, formerly brooked and possessed the same time bygone. This first day of September 2021 at Edinburgh.
Now I'd ask you all to listen, particularly those who are going to swear in, because I'm only going to say this once. I'm about to administer to you the oath of your office. You've already taken as a herald or a pursuivant previously the oath of allegiance to the Queen. You don't have to repeat it after me, but you simply give assent to the oath at the end by a bow of the head. You now raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will faithfully discharge the office and duties of a herald in ordinary? Thank you.
Islay, this is your chain. It marks you as one of Her Majesty's heralds in Scotland. It is a symbol of your seniority and an ancient adornment of loyalty and of honour. You now form a link, unbroken to your predecessors in office and to the heritage of our nation.
Aimer, this is the staff or baton of office. With it you become the very right arm of your sovereign. Use it with diligence, dignity, and discretion. For this is your oath. And this, so that you remember it. Take up your baton and your duties.
My lord, I present Unicorn Pursuivant in order.
Will you raise your hand, please? Read the commission.
Thank you, my lord. We, Joseph John Morrow, Commander of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, one of Her Majesty's Council, learned in the law, Doctor of Laws, Lord Lyon, King of Arms, considering the office of Pursuivant of Arms is now vacant and in our hands and at our gift by the promotion of Liam Devlin, sometime Unicorn Pursuivant in Ordinary of Arms, and being sufficiently informed of the literature, qualifications and good conversation of our Lovite, Roderick Alexander Macpherson, and of his ability to discharge the office and duty of a Pursuivant of Arms, know you therefore that we have admitted and received. Likewise, we hereby admit and receive the said Roderick Alexander Macpherson to the office of a Pursuivant of Arms, and we will and ordain that he shall be named and styled and entitled Unicorn Pursuivant in Ordinary of Arms. And we do hereby give and dispone to him the said office, for as long as he shall be able to discharge the same, with all and sundry honours, dignities, profits and duties pertaining thereto, subject to the condition the said office shall become vacant, ipso facto, upon the said Roderick Alexander Macpherson attaining the age of 70 years, which admission the said Roderick Alexander Macpherson hath accepted and hereby accepts, promising faithfully to discharge the duties of the said office, in person, with full power to the said Robert Alexander Macpherson de Brute, exerce and enjoy the said office of Unicorn Pursuivant in Ordinary of Arms, sicklike, and as freely in all respects as any others his predecessors, Unicorn Pursuivants in Ordinary of Arms, have formerly brooked and possessed the same in time bygone, this first day of September 2021 at Edinburgh.
I'm now going to administer and ask you to affirm the oath of the office. Do you solemnly, sincerely and truly affirm that you will faithfully discharge the office and other duties of Pursuivant in Ordinary?
Unicorn, this is your badge of office. It bears the likeness of our patron saint, St. Andrew. Wear it with dignity and with honour, as by this will you be known, for it is an outward sign of your sovereign's favour.
Unicorn, this is your staff of office, your baton. With it you become the very right arm of your sovereign. Use it with diligence, dignity, and discretion, for this is your solemn oath, and this so that you remember it. Take up your baton and your duties.
My lords, I present Lithgow, Falkland, and March, Pursuivants extraordinary.
My lord, I have here commissions for these persons here present. As you will, these be read with all due loyalty and respect. We, Joseph John Morrow, command of the most excellent order of the British Empire, one of Her Majesty's Council, learned in law, Doctor of Laws, Lord Lyon, King of Arms, considering that it is in accordance with ancient and recent usage that a pursuivant extraordinary of arms may be appointed in manner hereinafter mentioned, and being sufficiently informed of the literature, qualifications, and good conversation of our Luddite Gillian Black, Professor of Law, Doctor of Philosophy, and of her ability to discharge the office and duty of a pursuivant extraordinary of arms, know you therefore that we have admitted and received, likewise we hereby admit and receive, the said Gillian Black to the office of Pursuivant extraordinary of arms, and we will, and ordain, that she shall be named and styled and entitled Lithgow, Pursuivant extraordinary of arms, and we do hereby give and dispose to her the said office, for as long as she shall be able to discharge the same with all and sundry honours, dignities, and profits pertaining and belonging thereto, other than the profits and emoluments pertaining to the office of an ordinary pursuivant of Scotland, all to be held by her during the pleasure of us and our successors in the office of Lord Lyon, King of Arms, and under the declaration that notwithstanding the date hereof, these presents shall not come into effect until 1st day of September 2021, subject otherwise to what is herein contained, subject to the condition that the said office shall be held for a period of 5 years from the date of these presents, declaring that the said Lithgow, Pursuivant extraordinary of arms, shall be entitled to act and appear as a Pursuivant extraordinary of arms in matters pertaining to the laws of arms, with audience before the court of the Lord Lyon and other courts of chivalry, and to receive appropriate remuneration from those availing themselves for said office as such, which admission the said Gillian Black hath accepted and hereby accepts, promising faithfully to discharge in person the said duties of a Pursuivant extraordinary of arms. We, Joseph John Morrow, command of the most excellent order of the British Empire, one of Her Majesty's Council, learned in the law, Doctor of Laws, Lord Lyon, King of Arms, considering that it is in accordance with ancient and recent usage that a pursuivant extraordinary of arms may be appointed in manner hereinafter mentioned, and being sufficiently informed of the literature, qualifications, and good conversation of our Luddite Colin Caldwell Russell, and of his ability to discharge the office and duty of a pursuivant extraordinary of arms, know you therefore that we have admitted and received, likewise we hereby admit and receive, the said Colin Caldwell Russell to the office of a Pursuivant extraordinary of arms, and we will and ordain that he shall be named and styled and entitled Falkland, Pursuivant extraordinary of arms, and we do hereby give and dispose to him the said office, for as long as he shall be able to discharge the same with all and sundry honours, dignities, and profits pertaining and belonging thereto, other than the profits and emoluments pertaining to the office of an ordinary pursuivant of Scotland, all to be held by him during the pleasure of us and our successors in the office of Lord Lyon, King of Arms, and under the declaration that notwithstanding the date hereof, these presents shall not come into effect until 1st day of September 2021, subject otherwise to what is herein contained, subject to condition that the said office shall be held for a period of 5 years from the date of these presents, declaring that the said Falkland Pursuivant Extraordinary of Arms shall be entitled to act and appear as a Pursuivant Extraordinary of Arms in matters pertaining to the laws of arms, with audience before the court of Lord Lyon and other courts of chivalry, and to receive appropriate remuneration from those availing themselves of the said office as such. Which admission the said Colin Caldwell Russell hath accepted and hereby accepts, promising faithfully to discharge in person the said duties of a Pursuivant Extraordinary of Arms. We, Joseph John Morrow, Commander of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, one of Her Majesty's Counsel Learned in Law, Doctor of Laws, Lord Lyon, King of Arms, considering that it is in accordance with ancient and recent usage that a Pursuivant Extraordinary of Arms may be appointed in manner hereinafter mentioned, and being sufficiently informed of the literature, qualifications and good conversation of our Lovite Philip Stephen Tibbets, and of his ability to discharge the office and duty for Pursuivant Extraordinary of Arms, know ye therefore that we have admitted and received, likewise we hereby admit and receive the said Philip Stephen Tibbets to the office of a Pursuivant Extraordinary of Arms, and we will and ordain that he shall be named and styled and entitled March Pursuivant Extraordinary of Arms, and we do hereby give and dispose to him the said office, for as long as he shall be able to discharge the same with all and sundry honours, dignities and profits pertaining and belonging thereto, other than the profits and emoluments pertaining to the office of an ordinary Pursuivant of Scotland, all to be held by him during the pleasure of us and our successors in the office of Lord Lyon, King of Arms, and under the declaration that notwithstanding the date hereof, these presents shall not come into effect until 1st day of September 2021, subject otherwise to what is herein contained, subject to condition that the said office shall be held for a period of 5 years from the date of these presents, declaring that the said March Pursuivant Extraordinary of Arms shall be entitled to act and appear as a Pursuivant Extraordinary of Arms in matters pertaining to the laws of arms, with audience before the court of the Lord Lyon and other courts of chivalry, and to receive appropriate remuneration from those availing themselves of his said office as such. Which admission the said Philip Stephen Tibbets hath accepted, and hereby accepts, promising faithfully to discharge in person the said duties of the Pursuivant Extraordinary of Arms. All dated this 1st day of September 2021 at Edinburgh.
The oath of allegiance. You'll now raise your right hand and follow the instructions I've given earlier. Do you swear that you will faithfully and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, her heirs and successors according to law? Do you solemnly swear that you will be faithful to discharge the office and duties of a Pursuivant Extraordinary? Thank you.
Linlithgow, this is your tabard. In it, you represent the Queen, it is her coat, and you also represent her people. Never let shame or dishonour be associated with it. This is your dread trust. Falkland, this is your tabard. It is our Queen's coat. In it you represent her and her people. Never let shame or dishonour be associated with it. This is your dread trust. March, this is your tabard. It is the Queen's coat. In it you represent her and her people. Never let shame or dishonour be associated with it. This is your dread trust. Linlithgow, this is your badge. It bears the likeness of our patron saint, St. Andrew. Wear it with dignity and with honour, as by this will you be known to all, for it is an outward and visible signal of your sovereign's trust in you. Falkland, this is your badge. It bears the likeness of our patron saint, St. Andrew. Wear it with dignity and with honour, because by this you will be known to all, for it is an outward and visible signal of our sovereign's favour. March, this is your badge. It bears the likeness of our patron saint, St. Andrew. Wear it with dignity and with honour, as by this you will be known to all, for it is an outward and visible signal of our sovereign's favour.
You may be Pursuivant extraordinary. This is the staff or baton of your office. With it you become the very right arm of your sovereign. Use it with diligence, dignity, and discretion, for that is your oath. And this, so that you remember it. And this, so that you remember it. And this, so that you remember it. Take up your batons and your duties.
Marchman, present to me Albany Herald Extraordinary.
My Lord, I present Albany Herald Extraordinary.
Thank you for your presentation. Before I ask the commission to be read, I'm going to indulge myself by a few words about Sir Crispin. Sir Crispin is chief of the ancient name and arms of Agnew and the 11th holder of the Agnew baronetcy. But for us, he's been our senior herald for a number of years till he retired. And if today is a very special occasion and something that doesn't happen very often in terms of the court sitting in this way, today has an additionality about being special today because it's unique, as Crispin is the last holder of a lifetime commission to be a herald, which he surrendered voluntarily to allow people to come up through the ranks of the heralds. And for that, I want to mark my appreciation and thanks, but I also wanted to mark it by making him an extraordinary herald for life, so that he can still be with us, so he can still contribute to the work of the court, and so he can still guide us with his knowledge. He is a remarkable man, and I don't think he will want me to say that, but he is a remarkable man. He was in the Royal Highland Fusiliers and did numerous expeditions, including Everest and Elephant Island, and he retired as a major in 1981. Sir Crispin called at the Scottish Bar here, was appointed Queen's Counsel, and has served in numerous parts of Scottish legal life with a variety of specialisms. He is, of course, one of the senior, if not the senior person with regard to appearing before the court of the Lord Lyon. And during my 7-year reign, I've experienced the quality and the intensity of his advocacy when trying to establish a case for his client. These have included the revival of the baronetcy of Nether Cramond, and also chiefship, just to name two. Over the 40 years he was involved with the court of the Lord Lyon and with heraldry, he took part in numerous ceremonial activities within Scotland, the state ceremony of Scotland falling under the jurisdiction of the Lord Lyon. The opening of the General Assembly of the Church of Scotland, our national church, the service of Thanksgiving at the National War Memorial, the installation of those who became part of the Order of the Thistle, the installation of governors of Edinburgh Castle, state proclamations, and in latter years, the attendance at the state opening of our own Scottish Parliament. His dignity, his experience, and his steadiness have been a great help to all of those who belong to the court, including myself. And it's for this reason that I wish to mark, and the reason that he surrendered, which I believe to be something of great significance to him, his commission to allow people to come up through the ranks, that it is my wish and absolutely my delight to appoint him as a Herald Extraordinary, which is something that's unique. So here we come to this day to continue to work with Sir Crispin and to gain on his experiences. I should say that Crispin is the one person that I've fallen back on when I was wanting to be out the country, and he held commissions as the Lion ad interim on a few weeks when I was away doing things that I'm wanting to do and feel that I needed to have someone in place. And I think I want to stop there because it is because he has that confidence of all of us that he held those positions. And it's with great delight I would ask you now if we could have the commission read with regard to your appointment as Albany Herald Extraordinary.
We, Joseph John Morrow, command with the most excellent order of the British Empire, one of Her Majesty's Counsel learned in the law, Doctor of Laws, Lord Lyon, King of Arms, considering that it is in accordance with ancient and recent usage that an extraordinary Herald of Arms may be appointed in manner hereinafter mentioned, and being sufficiently informed of the literature, qualifications and good conversation of our Lovite Sir Crispin Hamlin Agnew of Lochnaw, Baronet, Lieutenant of the Royal Victorian Order, one of Her Majesty's Counsel learned in the law, sometime Rothsey Herald, and of his ability to discharge the office and duty of a Herald of Arms, know ye therefore that we have admitted and received, likewise we hereby admit and receive, the said Sir Crispin Hamlin Agnew of Lochnaw, Baronet, to the office of a Herald Extraordinary of Arms, and we will and ordain that he shall be named and styled and entitled Albany Herald Extraordinary of Arms, with all and sundry honours, dignities and profits, pertaining and belonging thereto, other than profits and emoluments pertaining to the office of an ordinary herald of Scotland, all to be held by him ad vitam aut culpam, declaring that the said Albany Herald Extraordinary of Arms shall be entitled to act and appear as a Herald Extraordinary of Arms in matters pertaining to the laws of arms, with audience before the court of the Lord Lyon and other courts of chivalry, and to receive appropriate remuneration from those availing themselves of his said office as such, which admission the said Sir Crispin Hamlin Agnew of Lochnaw, Baronet, hath accepted, and hereby accepts, promising faithfully to discharge in person the said duties of a Herald of Extraordinary of Arms. Dated this first day of September in 2021 at Edinburgh.
Will you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear that you will faithfully discharge the office and duties of a Herald Extraordinary?
Albany, this is your badge. It bears the likeness of our patron saint, St. Andrew. Wear it with your customary dignity and with honour, as by this you will be known to all, for it is an outward and visible signal of your sovereign's favour.
Albany, this, as you well know, is the staff of office. With it you become the very right arm of your sovereign. Use it with diligence, dignity and discretion, for that is your oath. This, that you remember it. Take up your baton and your office.
Would the newly sworn in officers at arms please stand? It was with a great sense of joy and enthusiasm that I have an opportunity now to address you. To say, first of all, thank you for taking up the office that you have gone into, but also I look forward to the contribution that you will make to the Court of the Lord Lyon in moving us forward. It will be no secret to anyone that's here today that my agenda is one of modernisation. We are the last heraldic court that sits regularly in the world, and we have ourselves instilled into the legal system of Scotland, but we can't be stuck in the past. My expectation for each of you will be to help us to go into the future, to make what the work of the court is relevant in our own time. Without that relevancy, we cannot engage the next generation, and we will fall by the wayside. So your job is to be not only officers at arms as instructed by the other officers at arms today, but to be ambassadors to promote the work of the court. I have absolute full confidence in each of you. A confidence that's based basically in your talents and in your enthusiasm. But I would encourage you sometimes just not to be as enthusiastic as you can be with the Lord Lyon. He's growing older by the day and less inclined to deal with enthusiasm in the way that he used to deal with it, particularly those of you who may be considerably younger than I am, and I'm looking at several of you now. It is important that in Scottish society, you go out and represent the court in its diversity. All of you were appointed because of your gifts, and because of your talents, and because of your skills and knowledge. But for me, it is paramount to making us relevant within the world in which we live, that the concept of diversity is made very clear in the communities in which we live. Now, I have no doubt each of you in your own way will carry that agenda forward. Next year, many of you will know, is the 350th anniversary of the Public Registers of Scotland. Each of you will be expected to be ambassadors in that process that we are attempting to promote in terms of Scots heraldry. I wish you well. I thank you for your contributions, for your talent and for your enthusiasm, and let's secure the future of the court as we move forward together. And finally, because as I grow older I'll learn a little bit more about humility, forgive me when I'm on the bad-tempered side, which will become more and more evident as I get older, I think. But it's never meant. We need to have a vision and a focus that what we're about is the future of the court of Lord Lyon and providing us with a vibrant, modern, relevant heraldic law based on tradition that celebrates what it means to belong to a living Scotland. Thank you for your attention. Please sit.
To Her Majesty's Officers of Arms have your leave to withdraw.
They do indeed, Marchant Herald. Now, can I just say to those of you who have been kind enough to support us in the court this afternoon, you are part of a historic occasion, because I don't think we've had as many officers at arms sworn in and promoted and made all sorts of things in a court for a long time. I hope that you managed to follow what we were doing. It was fairly straightforward, and I hope that you have an opportunity to join us for tea afterwards in the Signet Library, where you have an opportunity to congratulate the new officers at arms and for us to get a chance to know each other. I wish you well, and if any of you are here from families of those who have been sworn in, then you're rightly to be proud of what's happened today in the name of Her Majesty the Queen. Now, Lord Clerk, is there any other further business before this court?
No, my lord. That concludes today's business.
Then the court now will be adjourned.
Court